Hello everyone, and in this video I have brought to you a Wuthering Waves tier list, not for characters but for the signature weapons, so that you can know which weapon you should be investing in if you are looking for an all-rounder weapon. This will be our judging criteria. A signature weapon is usually 16 to 17% better than the standard banner options on the designated character with some exceptions. I will judge the weapons based on how effective the passive is, how many characters can use it, and how much of an upgrade it is over the standard banner weapon options. Before we start this tier list, let me explain the tiers. I have divided this tier list into 4 sections: S, A, B and C. S tier weapons are the weapons that are very flexible while providing a substantial damage increase over the standard banner weapons, not only for its designated character but for also other characters. A tier weapons are weapons that can be used on quite a lot of characters. The passive is quite easy to trigger and are better than the standard banner options on other characters. B tier weapons are the weapons that can be used on other characters but provide a similar performance to the standard banner weapon options and have potential to be used with future characters. C tier weapons are niche weapons, only usable on a specific character or a specific team. However, this weapon is better than other options for that character by a huge margin. Let's start with the very first limited weapon of this game, the Verdant Summit, which is Jian's signature. This weapon gives unconditional 12% attribute damage bonus and a 48% heavy damage bonus, which is easily achievable through intro skill and resonance liberation cast.
The best weapon option for Jian. However, the problem with this weapon lies not in its stats but the characters.
We currently don't have any broadblade characters other than Jian who benefit from heavy attack buffs, which makes this weapon's performance similar to Lustrous Laser on other characters like Jinsi or Calcharo. As a result, I will put this weapon in B tier. But if we have a future broadblade character focused on heavy attack damage, then this weapon will become better. Next we have Inlin's signature Stringmaster, which gives high crit rate and an easily achievable attack buff, which can be used by any rectifier DPS and sub DPS.
This weapon unarguably is the best weapon in the game.
Not only can it be used on almost every rectifier DPS or sub DPS, it also provides a substantial damage increase over the standard banner weapon, even competitive with the signature weapon of some characters when used on them. So this makes it an S tier weapon. Next we have Jinsi's signature, Ages of Harvest, which gives crit rate and resonance skill damage bonus. However, it shares the same fate as Verdant Summit of not having broadblade characters that deal resonance skill damage aside from Jinsi herself. But unlike heavy attacks, most of the characters can use resonance skills, like the weapon is 6% better than Lustrous Razor on Jian. It is 8% better on Lumi, so it can be slightly better than the Verdant Summit, but still not a must pull if you don't have Jinsi.
Since it is the best broadblade we currently have, I think it goes into A tier, but still not recommended to pull unless you have Jinsi, as Lustrous Razor can get the job done.
Next we have Changri's signature weapon, Blazing Brilliance. This weapon provides a good amount of crit damage and easily stackable resonance skill damage bonus up to 56%. Most of the sword characters use their resonance skills, which makes this weapon usable on them. It is great for balancing crit ratio on someone like Rover, who already gets a lot of crit rate from the kit. But since the standard banner weapon, Emerald of Genesis, is already so good, the damage increase won't be that high. Even on Changli, it is around 10% damage increase, which is less than the signature of other characters.
However, it doesn't have a restrictive passive and can be used on almost every sword character, so I will put it in A tier. Next we have JG's signature, Rime Draped Sprouts. This weapon is good but not that good.
What I mean by this is that this weapon provides a good damage increase over the standard banner weapon, Cosmic Ripples, due to the fact that it provides very high crit damage and the attack buff. The basic attack damage buff is usually not fully utilized by anyone else other than JG. However, it will go to A tier because of our judging criteria, but it will be way worse than the Stringmaster no matter what. There's another weapon that had kind of overpowered this weapon, which we will talk about in a bit. Moving on, we have Zhang Liao's signature, Verity's Handle. It has crit rate, gives 12% all attribute damage bonus, and an easy to achieve 48% resonance liberation damage bonus. One of the issues of this weapon is that we don't have characters that benefit much from its liberation damage buff. However, it will always be better than the standard banner weapon on other characters due to the crit value and the attribute damage bonus alone. But it won't be by much. If we get characters that benefit from its liberation damage buff, this weapon will become much better. As of now, I will be putting it in low A tier. Next we have his Stellar Symphony, which is Showkeeper's signature. Now Stellar Symphony is a support weapon which gives a huge amount of energy regen, HP percent, concerto generation, and a team-wide 14% attack buff. This weapon is not only an amazing option for Shorekeeper, but also the other two sustain supports who are also a Rectify user. However, this weapon is not a must pull, and I won't recommend the F2Ps to pull for it, cause variation exists. But it is a very flexible weapon as a sustain support is required in every team, and with the Whimpering Waves, having it can be nice as you will need to use two supports, and everyone may not have variation. This weapon will go into A tier no matter what you say. I will put it on the lower side to indicate that it doesn't have a high priority for F2Ps, but it is not a bad weapon to have. Next we have the signature weapon for Camellia, Red Spring. This weapon gives crit rate, 12% attack and 70% basic attack damage bonus. However, most characters can only get the 30% basic attack damage bonus and the remaining 40% is restricted to Camellia only. However, it is still better than most signature only acting as a stat stick. And since a good amount of sword characters deal basic attack damage, this weapon becomes quite good. But don't pull it unless you have Camellia. I will put it in A tier besides the Blazing Brilliance. Next on the list we have Carlotta's weapon, the Last Dance. It gives amazing amounts of crit damage, 12% attack and 48% resonance skill damage bonus after using Liberation, but only for 5 seconds. This is the only limited pistol we have and also the best DPS weapon as the standard banner weapon, even though it is good for damage due to its crit stats, focuses on buffing the next character. But I won't put it in S tier cause unlike Stringmaster, the buff is not generic and the buff is not long lasting. Some characters like Mortifi or Alto would still prefer the standard banner weapon when used as a sub DPS, so I will put this weapon in A tier. Going forward, we have Rothchia's signature weapon, Tragicomedy. It increases attack by 12% and gives 48% heavy attack damage bonus every time a basic attack or intro skill is cast, but only for 3 seconds. This shares the same fate as Verity's handle of not having a character that can utilize its buff, but it will always be better than the standard banner weapon. DPS Jiangxin can use this weapon as she can deal heavy attack damage and uses basic attacks in her combo and can reactivate the buff. But for now, I'll put it besides the Verity's handle, but since Verity's handle is the weapon of a main DPS, I will place it above Tragicomedy. The future character Zani, who is a gauntlet user, will determine which of these two gauntlets will be better depending on a kit.
Next we have Phoebe's signature Luminous Hymn. It gives 36% crit rate and 42% basic and 42% heavy attack damage bonus, but only on hitting enemies are fitted with Spectral Frazzle. It is only usable on Phoebe, but can be used on other characters if used with someone that can apply Spectral Frazzle like the Spectral Rover or Phoebe. Since this weapon is restricted to only Spectral Frazzle teams, it is quite niche and currently only good on Phoebe. Also, it is not much of an upgrade over the Stringmaster on Phoebe. Even the other two limited rectifiers are quite close to it. It can be used as a stat stick on other characters and performs closely, slightly better than the standard banner weapon, but we have 3 other rectifiers who have a more flexible passive than this one. I was thinking to put it in C tier because it is niche, but I think it goes into B tier as it can be used on others. Next on the list is Unflickering Valor, which is the weapon for the all-rounder character, Brand. It gives a ton of energy regen, 8% crit rate and 48% basic attack damage bonus. Needless to say, this weapon is made only for Brand. Its passive is not restricted as its triggering criteria is quite easy, but it is currently only good on Brand cause of the high amount of energy regen and low base attack. It is a niche weapon, but the other weapon options are not as good as this one on Brand, which is why it goes into C tier. And lastly, the latest weapon of our jellyfish mommy, Whispers of Siren. It provides a very high crit damage of 72%, provides attack percent, 40% basic attack damage bonus, and ignores 12% targets havoc resistance. Most characters can use this weapon and trigger the first half of the passive and get 40% basic attack damage bonus, as they can use the echo skill to activate it. It is not possible to get 2 stacks on other characters unless you have some special echoes. It is a better option than the standard banner weapon no matter what happens. This goes into high A tier as its passive is easy to trigger, while also providing more basic attack damage bonus than JG's signature for others. And with this, our tier list is complete. For those who skip directly to this part, I recommend watching the justification of the weapons which you think has been placed unfairly. What do you guys think about this tier list? Let me know in the comments. And before we end this video, And that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe for more Wuthering Waves content. Thanks for watching.